So I've decided to go ahead and do the video. I chose my applied ethics paper actually on the concept of outsourcing. Whether or not outsourcing is actually a good thing for the American public or not. In doing the research, I figured that, or I found rather quite a few articles that actually were in support of outsourcing. In doing the research, it actually definitely makes a lot more sense. Initially, I was definitely very against outsourcing as far as the American public and the benefit, what's in it for us. America seems to be having more of that society thinking as far as what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What can I get from it? How do my actions get me, at the end of the day, wherever I want to be? So I started going through and doing the research with that mindset, trying to find things and arguments that would support that thought, that process, and that overall societal thinking that a lot of the what we would call blue-collar laborers have. The made in the USA mantra that always seems to come up in any conversation where outsourcing is concerned and where it's discussed. In doing the research, I definitely found more arguments for outsourcing rather than against outsourcing. The outsourcing negative or cons that actually were able to be substantiated more than just we shouldn't do it statements actually came more specifically for the small business end, which that it does make sense. If you're a small business, you don't want to have to worry about relying on a third party to go ahead and complete your fulfillment or your order filling and shipping and quality control and things like that. More of the pro outsource was more not so much helping in improve the local colony or the local community and the local unions, labor unions in these offshore or foreign markets. It's been more, the foreign market, to stay competitive, companies need to go more foreign market rather than domestic. The domestic market has either been oversaturated or at the very least has become mature enough that we don't need additional products. The demand isn't there. But over in the foreign markets, specifically in Asia, there is that demand for specifically American type products. So with that being said, these companies have to actually expand into the foreign market. Well, what better people to provide these services than the foreign laborers? It's not so much more than outsourcing everything, more than just creating new jobs in new places. There was an article definitely about technology or the IT field, and specifically definitely there's always a big comment that when you call the help desk of an unmentioned, very large IT company, you get Indian help desk people. There is that language barrier, there is that cultural barrier, and a lot of people definitely say, when they call the help desk for it, they don't want to talk to an Indian person. They would rather talk to someone from America. However, in research, it actually shows that by creating jobs in India, by moving their IT departments in India, yes, we do have a small amount of employment that is lost here in the States. However, by the continued stability and financial stability of the company, new jobs are created. Those people that have lost that job previously mentioned for the IT actually were created, new jobs were created for them, or jobs in other companies were opened up for them. They might have had a better job, a newer job, a better paying job. And all of this resulted from their initial help desk job being outsourced to an offshore account. There is still definitely a lot of talk and a lot of cons with that. And there is definitely a large unemployment rate here in the States. And one of the bigger arguments is keep American jobs here in America. Unfortunately, a lot of the research has noted that it's not about keeping jobs in America. It's about making sure that these American-based companies are financially sound and financially stable. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is our profit. With any of these larger companies, what's the profit line? What's our return of investment? And if we are in a community or a society that has an oversaturated market, or a very mature market, because we're turning out so many quote unquote qualified individuals for the IT departments, software engineers, help desk people, people that are specifically trained in IT field, we're cranking them out so fast that our market can't support that. Because of that, we also require or request that we have higher wages. That's also another argument. However, that being said, definitely there are wage decreases there in foreign markets. However, there's actually been a decrease of that percentage over the years. So these domestic companies have to actually take that into effect, to take that into consideration as well. They may not have the unions that we have here in the U.S., but that being said, the lack of those unions actually hinders these companies in being able to actually hire professionals and qualified individuals. So at the end of the day, there are definitely a lot more arguments for outsourcing than there are against outsourcing. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the needs of the company. Do the needs of the company require an outsourcing, or are they ones that, at this point, can definitely keep things domestic? At the end of the day, domestic labor can definitely take a toll on the financial bottom line of a company. And just because we employ domestic workers doesn't necessarily make us a very sound and very financially sound and firm and stable firm as well. And so you have a lot of these companies that choose to not outsource, but we have such high overhead here, and we have the wages and the wage specifications and the changes in even just minimum wage that happens. That's a great thing for American people. However, at the same time, it can also be a very big detrimental hit to a lot of these companies, whether they be small startup businesses or very huge, massive conglomerates. It's the same one way or the other. Our market gets oversaturated, we have to pay higher wages, and as a result, a lot of things become outsourced. There are a lot of companies or a lot of industries that you don't have to worry about outsourcing. Industries that require that personal touch, that require that face-to-face interaction, things that offer a service, like your restaurants, your healthcare workers, anything that requires an individual to interact with a person face-to-face or offer a service to a person face-to-face. A lot of those, obviously, those aren't going anywhere. For example, I'm in the veterinary industry. People will always have pets, and those pets always get sick. I don't have to worry about my job being outsourced. However, that being said, the market is actually becoming oversaturated in a lot of regions of the U.S. With that, it drives our pay down, and with a decrease in wage, everybody needs money, unfortunately. Everybody needs a wage. Everyone needs to be able to make a decent living. And because society has instilled in us that we have to make a lot of money to live comfortably, and the market, the consumer market reflects that. Because of that, the service industry definitely comes under fire a lot. But that being said, not everyone can be in the service industry. It definitely requires computers and technology and finances and banks and everything else. The non-personable industry. Those non-personable industries are required for our personable industries to be able to function properly. So it's that delicate balance that everyone has to offer. And is outsourcing bad for America? Are corporate businesses unethical for outsourcing? In my opinion, they're not. At the end of this paper, I actually did change my stand on it. It's not that they're bad for America. It's not that they're unethical. In fact, if anything, they're ethical. They have at the end, whether or not they realize it or not, they have the well-being of the American public in mind when they outsource jobs that they can. It's a huge blow to a society or to a community when a call center, goes and ends up closing because they move the entire call center overseas. But that being said, those call center workers then have the ability and the opportunity, if the company does the merge and does the dissolution appropriately, they should have the ability to actually move up and be able to become better individuals and to become better paid, even employees of that company still. So it's not a bad thing. It is just a change. And as we know, unfortunately, in America, in life, change is inevitable. And we can either embrace it and learn to adapt and adjust and make it the best we can, or we can fight it tooth and nail. But inevitably, change will happen. And then we become those individuals that are left with our hats in our hand and nowhere to be. So thank you very much, and look forward to hearing your remarks. Thank you.